for the delay. Technical issues abound. Strange not, but we're here. Oh my goodness. It's been one thing after another tonight, but we're glad to be here a little late. MAGA report. It's our Friday night edition. We'll be back on Monday night. We'll have a weekend edition as well. The news is hot and heavy tonight with the leak of the Her report of what we all knew was how bad it was. Not shocking, but now there's audio and transcripts of the Her report, which the left criticized so very much heading into the election, and they attacked him. Well, now there are some key parts of it that have been released, and all the world can now see and hear what some of the things that was going on in this interview were. Pauses, saying, I don't recall, having trouble, which we heard about, remembering dates and when things happened. Very important dates, very important time frames, family, as well as things in his political career. This is the kinds of things that have been hid from the American public for so long. One commentator said it makes Watergate look like a parking ticket. So very true. For years, Watergate was thrown up as the standard of just how bad things could be in politics. But then we got into the 90s, the 2000s, 2020s, and we can see just how much worse it can get. The whole term comes into question, especially the second part of the term. And there really needs to be a full investigation, independently done, to find out who was controlling this man and who was actually leading the country. We've all known it, and we have a good idea of who, but it needs to be investigated, and there needs to be some consequences for this. Although we never did like Joe Biden, many of us said that we felt very sorry for him and how they were pushing him out there. Elder abuse and different things that were used, and how these people wanted to hold on to power at all costs. The man was sick and is sick. At some point, it just happens to everybody. Some people don't live long enough to go through dementia or other cognitive decline. Some do. It just happens. And other people notice it. You see delayed reactions by people. They repeat themselves. These are common things. You know, someone misses their turn. They didn't even notice it. They start forgetting when they did something, or they think they did and they didn't. These are all things that happen. And some of them are just normal. Some of them are uh, so advanced that it causes a tremendous mental decline to the point that others have to, yeah, you have to have the conversation, taking the car keys away, you know, keeping a watch on them at night. It's really sad. I've had family that has went through that. Tough people, tough-minded people that at the end were completely incoherent. Joe Biden had no business being the president of the United States. And we all knew that. But they kept up the charade. They kept up all the lies, all the protections, all the shielding that the media was doing. just because they wanted to make sure that they held on to the chair, that they held on to their spot. And even at the end, even when he was forced to remove himself from the ticket, it was a battle royale behind the scenes. And it's not a particular age. Everybody wants to point out President Trump's age. Well, President Trump is similar age, right? But he is so much more mentally sharp. Different people sort of lose that at different times of their life, depending on certain conditions that happen to them. President Biden was sick. We all saw it. We saw the bull rush of media out of meetings that he was having with world leaders. How they wouldn't even let him answer questions, prepared statements, gaps of time where he never addressed the media, where he never stood at a briefing, where they would never let him ask questions, where he never opened his mouth. And when he did, we all could see that. And we all remember the debate and how he just went off the rails. He was not ready for that. I mean, it was even President Trump, who was then a candidate for the presidency again, seemed to offer sympathy. Like, I don't even know what he said. I don't think he does either. And it was at that point where it's like, I mean, it's just really almost senseless to go forward. Some people wanted him to be even more attacking at that debate. I think he pulled back some because it was obvious to him and to the world that the man was not able to be coherent. He was not there, not fully, not enough. And then caught on the hot mic was Jill stepping up and clapping and saying, "Joe, you answered every question." And I think most Americans that have any kind of common sense are very angry with her because a spouse protects, you know, their wife or husband, whatever the case may be. You don't let your spouse be embarrassed like that. No business. I mean, they practice these debates. They have people that would play the president or the candidate or whatever, and they sit and they grill them and they look at what might be asked and how they would answer that, and they go through several practice sessions. If they put this man through any practice session, it was obvious he couldn't do it. He was exposed, but he had already been exposed, and nobody wanted to give any credence to it. It was all designed, all it was attacked to be just political. You got to go back and you've got to give credit to this man, Hur, the special counsel Robert Hur, who stood his ground and released this, that testified about it, because he could have easily buried that. But it was important for the American people to know this. And even then, they didn't want to do anything about it. I mean, from the very beginning of his presidency, I know we all remember how he would get lost on the path, and they would have people staged that would point him where to go. Now, sometimes you just have someone guiding you, like, hey, step here, do this. I mean, they all have that. But it was obvious that he would get lost, that they couldn't leave him alone, that he would stand and stare at things. He didn't know what he was even doing. He was standing there. You kind of remember when he got kind of caught up with the Easter Bunny, right? It was an embarrassing moment for the administration. You could tell that uh, you could tell that they were trying to protect him in certain ways, but in other ways they were exposing him to the world. And thanks be to the good Lord above that we weren't attacked during that time. Well, we don't never want to think about that. We're America. Wouldn't happen. It's really quite amazing. The chaos that could have occurred if America had been attacked with this going on. It could have divided the nation really quickly. Would they? I mean, would he? I mean, it's really debatable what would have happened. I mean, it's conjecture now. I mean, it's nobody really knows. But it's really quite amazing. I think history will look back, and the more that's released out of what was known, what was unknown, there's going to be books that'll be written. People are going to come forward in the years to come, and they're going to say, "I had a front row seat to this debacle, but they did nothing about it." That's what they're going to say. They're going to say, "I saw it all." It's going to be that. Everybody's going to be rushing to get their book out there, you know. And it's really quite amazing. It really is. I mean, and I'm not even trying to. I mean, yes, I'm a conservative, and yes, I would never voted for President Biden, and I didn't care for his time in office at all. But I would say this: as a human being, as a Christian, I have compassion, and it was embarrassing. And even though I despised everything that he did or that administration did, just about everything, there was only a couple of things that I would say, okay, I could go with that. In my heart, it really made me angry. It made me so angry, even though I knew the alternatives were not good. If he stepped down while during his presidency, we were left with Kamala. But but just on its base level, not even thinking politics, just thinking how sad that is that a human being is being done that way. It makes me very angry. I remember, and my wife has fallen recently. Some people know that she spent some time. She's still in rehab. It was pitiful, and we don't take pictures. My wife didn't really like pictures anyway. She will do it with the grandkids and stuff because she wants the memories. She's not a big picture taker. When you put yourself out there, everybody's snapping pictures of you. But one of the things I said is no pictures on the internet of her injuries. I don't. People do that. I'm not for that. And I said it's my job to protect my wife, and I will not let her be put in that light. I let a family member take a picture. I just said, don't put it on social media because that's my job is to protect her. There's been times we've even disagreed, and I would remind my wife. I'd say, listen, my job is to protect you. If I felt like something wouldn't be good for her, I always wanted, that's what we do. We present our family in the best light because we want them to look good. We don't want them to be embarrassed or to be mocked. Or I know politics has got all that. I get that, but I mean, how could you do that? It just shows your heart to me. It shows it shows what's inside of you. And so I just say that first off tonight. Thanks for all the comments in Rumble. I see them. Uh, thank you for the comments. But it's just truly amazing that the decline was so great, and even worse is who all was the power. You know, Jill certainly had a hand, but there were others. We've tossed names before. Who was driving? Who was driving? Who was in that? Who was in that vehicle, driving the country? Who was shifting the gears in the vehicle? Who's behind the wheel? Who's there? There's a handful, and even he probably thought that he was in many ways. And at times he might have been coherent enough that he was able. I mean, there was a couple of times. I remember when we didn't know if he could do another debate or whatever. There was a couple of times where he seemed fairly coherent. People said that they gave him over medicated and got him ready. He had a good day, and certainly that happens with people that have mental decline and they're on medication. But it's absolutely incredible that the president of the United States had declined so much, and that everybody saw that, and everybody, even Democrats were saying quietly he needed to step aside. But he wanted to hang on, and the fact that he was running again, and I know they've rolled him out there a little bit, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm not trying to be mean here. They rolled him, but they have. They rolled him out there in a couple of not press conferences, but he's spoken a couple of times. He's struggling still. Um, just let the man go vacation, man. I mean, honestly, just let him go on vacation. I mean, that's where he was at most of the time. He was absent from his duties. He couldn't do the duties. He was on the beach. He was at Camp David. He was at home. He was different places. They had to do a lot of things early with him. These reports came out. They had to do a lot of things early with him. There were times that plans got changed because he wasn't able to. They had to get him a lot of rest. They had to get him just in the perfect position to do some of the things he did, to be able to, to hold a short press conference where they took no questions. And I remember a couple of times he turned and he would start answering questions. You could see the panic on the people in the room. Like, we got to get this guy off stage. He would go off the stage in the wrong direction. He would turn to people to shake hands that weren't there. They just dismissed all this stuff. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, it's just amazing to me. There's just a responsibility to protect people better than that. And that's just jackboot. I mean, I would hate to think. It reminds me of the people that just roll. I mean, their grandma's died and they're still collecting the checks. I mean, you're just sick. I had a friend once. He was on disability. He died. The check came in after he died. His mom. I went with his mom to go get his belongings. They got rid of anything of value. He had a bunch of flakes around it, and they had cashed the check. And thankfully, the mom reminded the girl, "You could be in a lot of trouble. This check uh, was not supposed to be paid out. It's got to go back." So they actually brought it, but the check had already been cashed. It was all in cash, but she did get it back to send back to the government. These people. I mean, there's just charlatans and snakes like that out there in the world, sadly. And unfortunately, in politics, there's a bunch of them. And it's just amazing. It's just simply amazing that this man was put out there like that. And it's amazing. Think about this. It's truly amazing. Yeah, that's right, Ernest. Like the dog wasn't fiction, not since Biden was planning the president. Yeah, and think about his. This is where it really got scary for me. So, well, if we think we don't get attacked, well, they were letting him go out there and press on Vladimir Putin in Russia. I mean, he was bound and determined he was going to defeat that man by using Ukraine to do it. Well, he was bragging about how he would be the guy. He was the guy. He was the guy that was going to put him in his place. Remember, he come out and he talked tough. All the sanctions, all the restrictions on them doing financial things around the world. I mean, and then all the armaments and money that was poured into Ukraine to just keep up this senseless war. And it was almost as if he was wanting to be on the half track in front of the column, leading them to some supposed victory. And he could have led us into nuclear war with a superpower. That is absolutely incredible as we look back at that. Hurd noted in his report that Biden struggled to remember details about when his son Beau died. And of course, Biden didn't like that, but it's true. It showed Biden asking multiple times when his term uh, as vice president ended while being questioned specifically about some of the classified documents at his home. Remember that? That was brought out. Another instance included Biden being asked about a notebook in his possession related to the war in Afghanistan. The date is 4/20/09, Biden said. Was I still vice president? I wasn't I? Yeah. When the Hur report was released, Biden reacted to him being classified as a sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. He responded by saying, "I'm well-meaning and I'm elderly. I'm an elderly man, and I know what the blank I'm doing. I've been president. I put this country back on its feet. I don't need this recommendation." It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for the country. And as I said, some people need to answer for that. Yeah, Jack and Jill went up the hill. Jill's pills paid for bills being passed. And what do we not know? I mean, I'm sure there's things we just don't know. It's not, nobody's ever, there's information there we don't know of other things that are going on behind the scenes in foreign diplomacy and other, deals, financial deals. The big guy, 10%. Well, there's a lot more going on than that. Anyway, go check out the release of that if you can stomach it. It's just sickening to me as an American just how bad uh, this has went on. Let's move on to some other news. The Supreme Court of the United States has put a stop on the president being able to deport under the Aliens Enemy Act. Well, I mean, the SCOTUS is really rocking right now, ain't it? I mean, every day it seems like every other day they're siding with people against the president. Um, Two justices, Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito, dissented from the court's decision, but it did decide in favor of an appeal by a group of Venezuelan migrants who asked the High Court to halt their deportation under the Alien Enemies Act. Um, he has been this act, which in 1798, Alien Enemies Act, has been used by the president to get some of these people out of here, and they have struck against him on this. And there's some other important matters before the court that's going on. It really makes me wonder what's going on with this court right now. But they certainly have been no friend of the administration. Very little. Uh, the court did not rule on Friday because that was released today on whether the Alien Enemies Act (AEA) for short was lawful, but rather sent the matter back to the New Orleans-based Fifth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. To be clear, we decide today only that the detainees are entitled to more notice that was given on April 18th, the Supreme Court ruling said. So it's bouncing back to courts. Well, we know what that court is going to do. I mean, they're going to rule against it. So I don't want them here. Whatever act you want to use. So they have halted the deportations. And they're also hearing oral arguments right now on birthright citizenship. I don't have high hopes that they're going to back him on this either. To be honest, the way the court's swinging right now, I just don't. I think there's a couple of them being sympathetic to some other judges, and we'll see. So if is there any president that has ever, in the history of presidents, dealt with courts as much as President Trump has, from the times that they've sued him and tried to, indicted him and uh, all sorts of cases to now being commander in chief and all the different lawsuits and the lawfare and everything that's coming against him. I don't think I cannot certainly. I mean, I don't think there's ever been a president that has dealt with as much with courts as this president has, and certainly not for the amount of judgments that they have placed against him. The massive amount of money. So the president responded on Truth Social platform, his platform. Quote, the Supreme Court won't allow us to get criminals out of our country, exclamation mark, end quote. Um, he goes on to say the Supreme Court has just ruled that the worst murderers, drug dealers, gang members, and even those who are mentally insane who came into our country illegally are not allowed to be forced out without going through a long, protracted, and expensive legal process, one that will take possibly many years for each person, and one that will allow these people to commit many crimes before they even see the inside of a courthouse, he wrote. The result of this decision will let more criminals pour into our country, doing great harm to our cherished American public. It will also encourage other criminals to illegally enter our country, wreaking havoc and bedlam wherever they go. The Supreme Court of the United States is not allowing me to do what I was elected to do, Sleepy Joe Biden allowed millions of criminal aliens to come into our country without any process. But in order to get them out of our country, we have to go through a long and extended process. In any event, thank you to Justice Alito and Justice Thomas for attempting to protect our country. This is a bad and dangerous day for America. And what about Miss Barrett and Brother Kavanaugh? Where are these people at? Good grief. Like I said, you don't have to listen to the court if you get enough movement in Congress, but you'll never get that because the Democrats all rule against him. And at the same time, they're trying to impeach him, and it just goes on and on. So things grind to a slowdown. But they better watch out. President Trump will find a way around this. He will find a way around it. The American people, the majority of the American people want this to happen. They want these people out of here. They're cheering what he's doing. He'll find a way around this. There'll be a way. But they're making it difficult. He's right. It's just amazing. These people are getting more due process than American citizens are. I mean, we know some American citizens have been ramrodded through the court system. Truly, it's truly disgusting. But it's just kind of par for the course right now. It's almost expected. Another Friday, another Supreme Court ruling, or another judge somewhere with a ruling that it's always happening on a Friday. They do that on purpose because they know people are ready for the weekend. The major media doesn't do as much news programs, so they get these things late on a Friday because they know it's not going to be popular with the American people. So they just put it out there. Of course, we talked about this morning that wonderful human being. I say that facetiously. James Comey, who was walking along the beach and supposedly just stumbled upon the scene of the 8647 shells there on the beach. He has since deleted that post and acted like he didn't have anything to do with it. He was quite proud of himself. He was quite proud of his picture that he posted out there. But he has had to since delete that, and he's being investigated by the Secret Service. I don't know if anything will happen to him, but he did issue a kind of apology, which is full of lies, right? I didn't realize some folks associate those numbers with violence. Come on, dude. It never occurred to me, but I oppose violence of any kind, so I took the post down. Give me a break. President Trump is not convinced of this. He knew exactly what that meant, the president says. A child knows what that meant. He said, if you're the FBI director and you don't know what that meant assassination. It says it loud and clear. When asked if Comey should face consequences, Trump declined to give a definitive answer. He said the Justice Department and the U.S. Secret Service are investigating. James Comey, you are a jackleg. If he had a clean history, he doesn't. He's a dirty cop. I could understand if there was a leniency, but I'm going to let them make that decision. He also used the interview to highlight recent foreign policy developments claiming successes in brokering peace and securing economic deals in the Mideast. I'm using trade to settle scores and to make peace. These people just can't help themselves, right? They just can't help themselves. They always go for the violence factor. And then they act like, oh, I don't know. What do you mean? Not me. What? Who? Just completely sicko. Where's MAGA is supposedly the bad people, violent, crazy, must be stopped. But it's leftists who continue to promote and actually indoctrinate others to violence and plead for violence, send people out to do violence, all in the name of supposed democracy. It happens every day. One of them somewhere every day is promoting this publicly. And they get called out for it. They'll delete a post or two, and then it won't be long. They'll be saying the same things again. Wow. But we're not surprised, right? I mean, we're truly not surprised. But he is to be escorted by the Secret Service to DC, the DC field office, for an interview about it. So I'm ready for some perp walks. I don't know about y'all. I'm ready for some people, you know, bring them out. Let's bring them out with cameras in tow, just like they did the perp walk. There's a bunch of them. It was Greg Gutfield that said that it makes Watergate look like a parking ticket. Remember all the shows at the time in the 70s? Shows like All in the Family and different ones. They were constantly bringing up Watergate. I mean, you could tell it was a theme that the elite, the leftists wanted to do. They were using comedy and other things. It was really prominent in All in the Family. I mean, prominent. And they would constantly just pop that up. Watergate, Watergate, Watergate. In fact, there was one show where Meathead just continues to repeat it. Watergate, Watergate, Watergate. Archie turns and cusses him. Says, "I'm tired of hearing about it." And that was the drum beat for a lot of shows in the 70s, among some other things. Vietnam, obviously, but Watergate was the thing. Well, they had him something there, and now it looks like somebody's issued, like you said, a parking ticket. I mean, that we push someone out there in that kind of condition to do those things. Amazing, truly amazing. We need to pray for our country. And, there's still people around. Like, I mean, there's still some people out there. They're in positions today, and that's the way they think. So we'll see. You know what? Several administrations have done incredibly illegal activities, but nobody's ever taken them to task on it. In Obama's term, they had some things going on. So we'll see. The administration did ask the High Court to block mass layoffs ruling. They petitioned the court on this Friday to lift a temporary injunction to the mass layoffs of federal employees. The administration's latest efforts to thwart district courts from blocking President Trump's agenda. Remember, there's district courts making rulings that are being uh, honored across the nation. U.S. District Judge Susan Ilston, a Bill Clinton appointee for the Northern District of California, ruled May 9th in a 42-page order that the administration's effort to reduce the federal workforce was illegal without congressional authorization. The plaintiffs in the case, including the American Federation of Government Employees and the AFL-CIO. The district court lacked jurisdiction over this dispute related to federal personal actions, and respondents lacked a cause of action to challenge White House direction and guidance about plans for future agency reductions in force. Solicitor General John Sauer wrote in a brief to the High Court. Sauer argued that the Federal Service Labor Management Relations Statute of the Civil Service Reform Act of 1978, established by Congress and signed by President Jimmy Carter, preclude district court jurisdiction over plaintiff claims. The Federal Service Labor Management Relations Statute established a Federal Labor Relations Authority to resolve issues related to collective bargaining between federal employee unions and their employers, including issues related to the granting of national consultation rights, issues related to determining compelling need for agency rules or regulations, issues related to the duty to bargain in good faith, and complaints of unfair labor practices, Sauer wrote. In passing the statute, Congress specified that its provisions should be interpreted in a manner consistent with the requirement of an effective and efficient government. He added that the Civil Service Reform Act provides a mechanism for employees who have suffered an adverse action to appeal to the Merit System Protection Board, and that it excluded reductions in force from the definition of adverse action appealable to the board. The regulations issued by the Office of Personnel Management state that employees who have been furloughed, separated, or demoted by reduction in force Can appeal to the board. Judicial review of final orders of both the authority and the board is available at Circuit Court, Sauer Road. He noted that the Supreme Court intervened last month in a similar case by blocking a preliminary injunction issued by another Clinton appointed judge in the Northern District of California, William Assault. It should take the same course here, where the order sweeps far more broadly to cover most of the federal government and restrains the executive from even planning reductions in force pursuant to presidential direction, he wrote. As this court has recognized, federal courts do not possess a roving commission to exercise general legal oversight of the executive branch, including its personnel practices. The Supreme Court has issued 7 emergency orders this year in cases related to the Trump administration, with 9 emergency applications pending. According to Ballotpedia, the administration filed 15 of the emergency applications, and one was filed by another party. So again, it's the year of court. It's the year of judges. It's the year of Supreme Court. That's where we're at. Major issues going on, and that's where we're at. And they always say the old joke, one lawyer in town starves, 2 lawyers in town, they get rich. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine the money that some of the attorneys have made in these cases involving President Trump? Just imagine multiple lawyers. In the case of Georgia, there was at least 4 or 5 lawyers available in that trial. And then he has others. Some are the same, but some are different, depending on what they were defending themselves on. They had other specialized lawyers that were a part of that. It's just amazing. Good time to be a lawyer, right? A lot of cases going on, a lot of ability to make you some good money, get your name in the lights, write your book. President Trump tells the boss, he says, I'm the boss. He tells the boss, Bruce Springsteen, he should keep his mouth shut. I'll be honest, I'm one of those that I don't really want my sports figures or my musical figures, people I listen to, I really don't want to. I'm not saying they can't have an opinion on politics, but I really get tired of them being so political, and got to have a comment on every single thing. I really only pay attention to, and I'm not even a big Bruce Springsteen fan. He had a couple of songs I like. Again, I'm not. That's for each his own. I'm not saying he's not, legend. People love his music and all that, but I'm not a fan of most of it. And most artists are liberal. They are, and especially artists and musicians of different types, they're very liberal. And but he is one of those that's very upfront with his comments. Uh, Roger Waters, there's a number of them. Roger Waters of Pink Floyd, and I just don't care for it. I don't want to go to a concert. I used to go a lot. I went to a lot of concerts. I never went to a concert to listen to somebody up there tell me how to think or tell me who to vote for. I really don't need that. I don't need that. I'm not saying they can't endorse people and all that and stand on the platform with them. But just play your music, dude. Just be a musician. I would appreciate it a whole lot more. I am just not uh, I'm just not a fan of his. And I like bands where you don't know their politics because they keep it so close to the vest and they just don't wade in. We're just here to play music. I like that. Again, I'm not saying it's not their right to do it. It gets a little overblown. I mean, with today's social media, they're constantly preaching on Americans this ideology, you know. And I've never went to a concert and anybody in the stands, standing in front of the stage, not one time have I ever heard a fan ever say, "Boy, I hope they talk about this issue tonight related to weapons or abortion or whatever." Never once in all the concerts I ever went to did I ever hear anybody say I even talk about what their politics was or the musicians' politics. Basically the same attitude, shut up and play. In fact, many people in the concert don't like too much talk in between the songs. I realize they get older, they have to rest a little more. But I would never, not once, have I ever went to a concert and thought, I wonder how they vote. I just like the music. But not Bruce. Bruce has got to take it to another level. The opening night of his European tour with his E Street Band on Wednesday in Manchester, England. He's even got to take that around the world. You know. He told the crowd that America, quote, is currently in the hands of a corrupt, incompetent, and treasonous administration. Let's see, incompetent, corrupt, treasonous. You're just a little late, Bruce. That was called the Biden administration. And I didn't hear you opening your mouth then when Mr. Brains could not put two words together and all the corruption that was going on with Ukraine. The big guy is 10%. Baby boy. No. But now he's going to go overseas and inform the Brits that America is in the hands of a corrupt, incompetent, and treasonous administration. Yes, Ernest, they do. The left heavily relies on celebs to further their political campaigns. That's so true. President Trump responded Friday morning. I see that highly overrated Bruce Springsteen goes to a foreign country to speak badly about the President of the United States. And he posted on his Truth Social. You know they got to hate that. Got to hate that he has a platform. Quote, never liked him, never liked his music or his radical left politics. And importantly, he's not a talented guy, just a pushy, obnoxious jerk, capital letters, who fervently supported crooked Joe Biden, a mentally incompetent fool, and our worst ever president, a lot of capital letters in here, cap lock on, who came close to destroying our country. If I wasn't elected, it would have been gone by now. Sleepy Joe didn't have a clue as to what he was doing, but Springsteen is dumb as a rock. I couldn't see what he was going on, or could he? Or, which is even worse, this dried out prune of a rock. Don't ever mess with a guy who don't care. Like, he's not afraid to say whatever. This dried out prune of a rocker, his skin is all atrophied. He's been falling down too. Ought to keep his mouth shut until he gets back into the country. That's just standard fare. Then we'll all see how it goes for him. Oh, actually, the right has the biggest celeb Trump artist. Yeah, he is. Well, they rolled out the carpet for him over there. His Arab tour. Oh, Springsteen has been a longtime supporter of the Democratic Party and is a close friend of former President Barack Obama, The Guardian reported. The rock and roll star campaigned for Obama during two presidential runs. He also supported the campaigns of former President Joe Biden and former Vice President Kamala Harris. During a short Instagram video in which he endorsed Harris, Springsteen said Trump was, quote, the most dangerous candidate for president in my lifetime, end quote. Springsteen is 75. He also performed a series of concerts for Kamala Harris in late October when he was joined by, yes, Obama. Like I said, they just can't help themselves. Nobody cares, dude. Maybe your crowd does. I don't know, but I guarantee you there's people in the crowd. They just wanted to hear you, sing Born to Run or, Philadelphia. So many songs. I'm just throwing a couple out there. Born in the USA, Anti-American Zone. They just like your music, dude. Just go sing. I mean, really, to the president, I would say, he can't keep his mouth shut. He's got to sing. but he needs to just sing. It just never looks good. It never sounds good when some of these folks who have lived very hard lives, drug filled. I'm not saying he has. Lawyers are standing by, but many entertainers are, you know, in that world. They blowed the last brain cells out a long time ago, and it's like they're caught in an endless cycle, the loop: attack, 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 conservatives. He has definitely been out there a lot. There, like I said, there's a number of entertainers from the Hollywood and from the musician, from the, in music industry that love to stand up and take on President Trump. Well, they loved him at one time, didn't they? They all loved him. Oh, they all sung his praises. I was sitting here trying to think of Bonnie Raitt. She's another one. Susan Sarandon. Is it Susan Sarandon? Anyway, there's a bunch of them. They're very vocal. Give me Kevin Sorbo. Really good conservative. And they just think that wherever they go that people care. Like, if I say this, people will just fall all over themselves to believe me, and they'll hate Trump more. No, dude, you just make yourself look stupid. I mean, just sing the songs. just you know, just be thankful that at your age you're still able to get on the stage, which is a feat. I mean, I get it. I mean, the Rolling Stones are kind of like hold my sign here because I mean they're doing it in the '80s, but to be in your '70s, still able to rock somewhat, kudos to you. That's salute. It's America, and it's America for you to be able to say that. I get that, but it's really fascinating to watch them believe in their bubble. They believe that everybody just follows them around for that stuff. It's kind of like LeBron James wanting. We've had a lot of LeBron James talk in the streams today, but LeBron James is kind of like him wanting to be he's wanting to be a social hero, a social leader on the social media. He always has a comment about a lot of stuff. He's trying his best to be that voice, and I think it goes back to there's so many people want to make their 15 minutes of fame. So many people want to be recognized as being profound and taking a stand and write the book. They so want to look back, and it's almost like they're jealous that they didn't get to walk across the bridge in Selma or something. I mean, it really is. It's like they want to be that, but it's like they're trying to create it. It's not something that was a struggle for them, but it was like it was for those that came before them, and certainly they suffered injustices horribly sometimes. They didn't go out seeking to become that person in history who locked hands and walked across bridges. But boy, every politician on the left today acts like they were there, even if they weren't. And so many entertainers today they crave to be recognized as that. It's like, hey, don't forget about me. I've been out here speaking against it. I identify with your struggle. Come on, living in your mansion, with all the deals you've made, money coming in. You don't understand the struggle. Don't even start. For the most part, maybe when they're kids, but most of them they've never seen that. They really haven't. But it plays well. It makes money. Gets them in the news. The media loves that stuff. They love that stuff. I was in South Carolina once. I was a part of a funeral procession to rebury the crew of the Hunley. 80,000 marchers were marching through the streets. Here come the media running up knocking on doors, trying to stir some things up, pointing back at the column, and trying to get them to make some sort of a comment. I mean, it was as we came out, they just rushed, ran to these doors, these apartments, obviously low income apartments, to try to get some sort of a story to make it like it was an invasion force or something. You can just see how sick they operate. Absolutely horrible. This is horrible. Good to see you, not Chick Bait. I hope things are well with you, your channel, and all that's going on, and Lewis as well. Appreciate you stopping in for a minute. We'll be closing this live in just a minute. This is our Friday night MAGA report. We cover a few things. This weekend we'll try to expand on that, cover much more. Please visit those other Rumble creators that we really like. You know, the Killer Carls, Angry Conservative, Kim's Coffee Talk, Half Pine Forge, the Dialogue Box. There's so many more. We're blessed to have all these podcasters, and I'm honored to call many of them my friend. I don't take that lightly. I appreciate them stopping by. Angry Conservative was by earlier in the stream. Appreciate him. Appreciate all of them. Appreciate you, the listener, who takes the time out of your day to come in. And if you never post, I appreciate your watching. Don't forget we're sponsored by Patriot Mobile. We have some other affiliates, but that's our newest one. Patriot Mobile, promo code Cornbread. Make the switch today. We'll be back in touch with them on Monday. We've got a couple things we've got to finish up with them. Website's being updated. Coffee's coming soon. The Southern Fry. Different labels, different names, different blends. At least 6, I think we're going to start with. Around 6. Might expand from there, but 4 to 6. I think we're probably going to have to push to 6. But that'll be coming the days ahead. Our store is active. We got many things to load up. Got Buy Coffee up there. Got other ways you can support the podcast. Thank you for you. Give us a follow. If you don't have a Rumble channel, get one. Definitely get one. It's a place to be. Go premium if you can afford it. Central Michigan. Hello from Central Michigan. Have a great night. Continue to pray for my wife. That's my wife, Lynn, there on the screen. She definitely needs prayer. She's recovering. She's in rehab. I'm hoping on Tuesday to get good word about how quickly she's going to get out of rehab. But we want to make sure she's ready before she comes home. She had a violent fall. She's got some other issues going on. It's really thrown us for a loop. But we go forward. God bless America. God bless you. Let's have a great weekend. Let's think about somebody. Pray for somebody today. I can't tell you what it means to have people tell me they're praying for me. Pray for somebody. Just let God put their name on your heart. If He puts it there, you know there's a need. Just have a burden for people. There's so many people that need our encouragement and support. And sometimes we just do that from afar. We just pray for people. Just pray. I remember once in the church, I told everybody, don't tell them, just pray for people. It's weeks later. One of the fellow preachers in the church, he said, I know you told me not to say, but he said, I want to tell you. I said, it's fine. He said, I'm praying for you. I said, hey, it means a lot, man. He said, well, I prayed about it, and it was to pray for you. It meant a lot to me. I've had so many people reach out and say they're praying for my wife. Thank you so much. There's so many people out there. It does not go unnoticed. I've tried to like and love and all those different, every single post, because it is important to me. And I've tried to keep you updated as much as I can. Sometimes there wasn't a lot of information that can be shared. We're trying. We didn't ask to be in this position, but we are. We appreciate your support. Every day is a gift, and we're so thankful for it. We're honored to be able to do what we do and have some fun. Their haters are going to hate. We appreciate those who love America, love the president, still salute the flag, leaving mom and apple pie and all that goes with it, instead of all the crapola that the left is trying to shove down our throat. Most beautiful place in the world, the United States of America. I love the flag. I love this land. I love the patriotic songs. I grew up with them. I love the history. Sure, there's bad parts. That's what history is. I love this land. I'm honored and blessed to have been born in the United States of America. I take that very seriously. We are a nation of immigrants, yes. Our people came from somewhere. If they didn't jackboot across the border, just do as they will, and they didn't cause problems. They were hardworking, industrious, people of faith who worked very hard to build their lives in the new land. They didn't come across it and get a debit card and a place to stay. They worked for everything they had at great peril and danger. Many died well before they should have, just because of the struggle, disease, war. Our forefathers went through living hell to make this the place that we have. And we should hold it precious and close to our heart and pray for this nation every day. And soak it in prayer. Pray that the Holy Spirit will move in a mighty way in this land. Thank you. Yes, proud to be an American. Absolutely. I apologize to no one for my American citizenship or the position I hold in it. I am thankful unto God, my parents, and others that brought me along, my great grandparents all the way back. Wherever you're at in the world, I hope things are well for you. It's not a put down, but I'm proud to be an American. And for those that hate us across the ocean, I don't care. I'm not trying to please you. I'm trying to do things the right way here in this great land. We've tried to be friends. We've tried to help around the world. Yes, sometimes we might have did some things that wasn't right. But this country has done so much good. I get sick and tired of the belly aching that people have from around the world, including inside of our nation, about this country. If you don't protect it, you're going to find out what you've had. It's going to be too late, because it's going to be what you had. We're going to lose those rights. We don't need to be global. Others do what others do. We don't follow the crowd. We're in America. We do not need to copy any other plan, program, government institution, any of that. We are the United States of America. We don't bow down and kiss rings. We stand guard and we keep out the bad people. If we can help people, we will. If you hate us, you hate us. We can't make you love us. We sure love those that laid down their life for us. Those across the sea that lay in those graves. France, you spit on them. But you know what? Those men died so that you could have a country. You better know we're watching. Graves all over Europe. Not only Americans, but many others, but I'm talking about Americans who laid down their life for the cause of freedom. They didn't die for nothing. We got to do our duty. We got to point out the communism, the socialism, the wokeism, and every other kind of ism that's going on and trying to tear this country down and make a stand for it. It's the time for all good men to stand. I say men in the general sense. Got to protect the children, protect our families. There's many things to be protected from. Yes, it is. Polish used to get together for weddings and weekends. Now it's different. It is different. And maybe at my age, I'm a little melancholy, and I do think back to those times. I've had a good life. I've had struggles just like anybody else. But I have never hated my country like some people here do. I have never went around bashing my country. It's like bashing their mom and dad. Sure, they had mistakes. Nobody's perfect. no matter how hard they try. America's not perfect, but by gosh, it's the best thing going on the face of the planet. I don't care what anybody says. And for all the apologists who live here and are citizens, and they brag about this country and that country and whatever, and I say this all with all due respect, if you don't like it here, if you think it's better there, then go ahead and check out and go there. Quit bashing the country, though. Quit bashing this great land. I'm not ashamed of the flag. I like to see it fly. I love our military. I love everybody in every state. Maybe frustrated with what some of them do, but I'm proud of this country. Have a great night. God bless us. We're going to have a lot of recording this weekend. It's just a kickoff on Friday. Be more in the morning, more Sunday. We appreciate you supporting the Southern Fried Podcast. Dave in the AM. A little later, that's okay. It's good to be here. It's good to be an American. It's good to be a Christian. It's good to have friends that care about you. Salute. Our 1 year birthday bash is coming up. More news on that soon. Not long. Less than 2 weeks away. Take care. God bless.